And we always say everybody can be a leader, right? It's not just the CEO of the company. But with that in mind, I'd ask you to, because you've been around for quite a while, as I have. Do you think it's harder now for leaders to lead, given all the things that are happening, or are there always things at different points in history that have made it difficult for people to lead?
I do think it. Robert Keegan wrote a book called "In Over Our Heads," and he wrote that book 15 years ago, 10, 15, longer than that, 20 years ago. And gosh, we were in over our heads then. We're really in over our heads now, with given the pandemic and everything else that we had to deal with. It saw those issues at that time when he wrote that book, and then how that's multiplied significantly since that time he wrote it. So, yes, leaders face challenges that they've never had, and other people have never had to face. And so there's not even often somebody to turn to, because they don't have anybody who's been through this. So they don't have a peer in terms of being able to understand or whatever. I think that's where our business comes in, and we help with that. But that is not an easy thing for any of the leaders in today's situation, which is why you see so many companies changing out leaders, because they're trying to find somebody who can meet those challenges, and it's very, very difficult.
Right. There's been pandemics before, I guess, but not one like this in the last 100 years. But probably to have that reference in terms of, working from remote, just that as an example, like to your point, Bob, they really can't go back to another point in time necessarily and say, how do I handle this? I'm going to read several books to see how they handled it last time, because it's all new, right?
So yeah, right. But what is important is, in Keegan's book, he talks about different stages of growth and how we all move through different stages of growth as adults, and how important it is to get to that highest stage. That would be, in his terminology, 4 to 5, between 4 to 5 level, because that's at the stage where our thinking is at its best. And so you've got to give the best resources possible within your brain and people power to be able to meet these challenges. So the faster that companies like ours and other organizations can accelerate the growth of their leaders and the growth of people, the better off we are in terms of this, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take thinking at a higher level that we've never had to do before. And that's just the way it is. Otherwise, we won't thrive, and things will not be good.
I do think there are some real positives we've seen, though, in the last 2 years. The amount of human ingenuity that we've seen, the ability to people to embrace, we used to talk about how people can't stand change and how they'll never change. And we have seen in this just a remarkable ability we saw in clients we were working with, people pivot in a weekend. They were moving to off-site work. Some companies, when they dithered about that and worried about security, and they figured it out over, I do know, literally, one company figured it out over the weekend. And leaders had to grow. They had to push decision-making outward. They had to give up control. Everybody had to give up perfection. People moved really fast. They experimented. They tried things. And there are some remarkable stories. I think now we have used so much adrenaline over the past 2 years, and this has taken so much out of us, that people are really exhausted now. And I think we all need to give each other a break. Leaders, one of the things that people we do differentiate between leaders, which we think everybody can be, and people in leadership positions. People in leadership positions need to show a lot of empathy. They have to give a lot right now. And one of the things we are seeing is that leaders, people in those senior positions, probably are more stressed than ever. Everybody's stressed. And those people need more support right now. But I think embracing the sort of magnificence of the human spirit that we've seen in this time is something that's encouraging to all of us.